once again, good evening YouTube, and welcome back to Good News, where the news is always good, and the ICBMs are always kosher. Oh boy, Daytona happened. That's great. It's always good when Daytona happens because I actually don't have a reason. There actually is no reason. I hate Daytona. Now, I'm gonna start with some positives. Because there are positives, believe it or not. This is good news after all, and the good news is that I want to actually applaud NASCAR making the schedule changes that they did to ensure that full races got in and they weren't just racing to halfway in every race this weekend. I will say that much. That was a great decision. That was a series of great decisions, as a matter of fact. We had ARCA start a day early. I guess we're in the era of starting races a day early, and I guess because it's ARCA, it's technically not NASCAR, even though NASCAR's owned them since 2018. And you'll notice the correlation of the series absolutely flatlining ever since that moment, by the way. Yeah, I didn't make a video after the Clash because there was nothing to say other than Denny Hamlin is retiring his winning line. Even though that's the worst thing that he could possibly do. That line has to be one of the best one-liners in racing history. It's right up there with Rattle His Cage. It's right up there with And There's a Fight. It's iconic, an absolutely iconic phrase. And he should embrace it, in all honesty. That's the best branding of himself that he's ever had. There's been no branding for Denny Hamlin his entire career. Man's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's difficult to think about anything that he's said or done that's actually notable, and yet, first ballot Hall of Famer status. Absolutely, without a doubt. So yeah, that's disappointing. I Beat Your Favorite Driver is one of the best one-liners I've ever heard in my life in any context, and he's gonna retire it. What a pussy. Anyway, I guess we'll talk about the races. What happened, you may be asking? Well, loyal viewer, why don't we get started? First race that was run was the Truck Series, which is an absolute nightmare of a division. And no one expected this race to be clean. I remember the race actually being a bit clean. As a matter of fact, they did a great job of keeping it clean until the end. I mean, well, most people did. Yeah, there's your two-time series champion just lapaging the field like an actual inbred. Yeah, some fucking champion. I'm so glad that literally nothing that happens over the course of the season matters, and the only thing that matters is who does not get wrecked at Phoenix. Very interesting how that works. Yeah, I'm not surprised that that's how that race went. I'm very mad at Raja Karuth for absolutely just... Boy, what was he thinking? Man's got a full-time ride. He was sitting pretty ready to maybe make a challenge for the win on the exit of turn 4, but he couldn't even get out of turn 2 before throwing himself into the outside line and causing the most cataclysmic wreck that this track has seen in years. I want him to succeed so badly, and yet, boy, he just can't get out of his own way, can he? Next race was ARCA. No one expected this one to be good. It was kind of a messy race. Nothing really notable happened aside from the field dying on the last lap. Wow. I'm sensing a pattern. Yeah, and Gus Dean won because he decided to go against the teammate restart, which, like, what are you doing lining up for a teammate restart on a one-lap dash? What are you expecting to accomplish there? The odds that it works is 50-50 to begin with. The odds that you don't just get passed by the other line is 50-50 as it is. Anyway, I'm just glad it wasn't Jake Finch. Moving on. But I think the funniest thing is that following this Truck Series race, a moody bitch got on Twitter. Last night's Truck Series race did nothing to advance its reputation or standing in the sport. It's a long way from the glory days of Ron Hornaday, Mike Skinner, and Todd Bodine. Not sure what NASCAR can do. NASCAR can start by lowering the expenses for all these teams so that they can hire actual drivers and not sons of billionaires who are just gonna go out and wreck every week because they have no talent. So, reading that tweet, it's not that bad. It's not that bad of a take from Dave Moody, because he mentions such drivers as Ron Hornaday, Mike Skinner, and Todd Bodine, who were the elder statesmen of the Truck Series and actually had some sort of grassroots buildup that involved them actually learning how to drive. Very different from the ARCA Racing Series of today. But in response to this tweet, Bubba Wallace tweets, "Remember when we complained that the Cup guys were ruining the show?"
Bubba, did you know that when Mike Skinner, Ron Hornaday, and Todd Bodine were running in the Truck Series full-time, they weren't Cup guys?
Oh no! They're doing it again! They're doing that thing again, where they're trying to pretend that if there were Cup drivers in the Xfinity and Truck Series, it would help driver development. Nope, it hinders driver development. Hey! If there were Cup drivers allowed to run these races all the time, they would be in the trucks and cars instead of the drivers who are actually trying to break their way into the series. Multiple of these drivers would not be full-time and would not be racing at all if there were Cup drivers in these series. B! Back during the late 90s, early 2000s Truck Series, there were hardly any leeches. Leeching was kind of relegated to the Xfinity Series. The Truck Series had its own identity. It had its own idea. It wasn't even a developmental series. It was an entirely tertiary series to most of the events that were transpiring. Half the time, the Truck Series didn't even have companion events with the Cup Series, and hardly even with the Busch Series either. So no, motherfucker, no! Cup drivers, leeches, would not improve the situation, because the Truck Series was not a developmental series when Bodine, Hornaday, and Skinner were racing full-time. No, this is not the solution. So this is the worst tweet of 2024 thus far. The Daytona 500 ran before the Xfinity race, which I don't think has ever happened in the history of NASCAR. So that's interesting. So the thing is that most people are saying that this was one of the best Daytona 500s ever until lap 188. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. You can't just say that kind of thing. That's not how it works. That one Richmond race that Brian Scott led 230 laps. You know, that was one of Brian Scott's best races for the first 230 laps. Then he went on to do fuck all for the rest of his career. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. A race has to be judged by the complete package. The complete package. You just can't stop halfway and call it. Alright? That's not how it works. They decided to run out the rest of the race under caution to line up for a 3-lap dash. And it's like, okay, bitch. Okay, looks like we're doing this. And then they wrecked, coming to the white. So, how about that finish to the Daytona 500, huh? How about that finish? How about that finish where the press of a button is what determines the winner of the race, instead of the action on the track? Everyone on Twitter was absolutely up in arms about the finish, rightfully so. But they're mad about the wrong thing. They're mad about the wrong thing. The problem is that if these drivers could be trusted to drive the cars around the track without killing each other every week, maybe we'd actually be able to finish one of these races under green. Everyone was mad on Twitter, and to be honest, I was also mad because We waited all off season for that? That's what we've been waiting for? Who goes into the season thinking that Daytona 500 is going to be a display of the best drivers or the best teams? It's not. It's just whoever just is not getting dumped on the final lap. That's all it is. That's all it is. I mean, no wonder the previous 3 Daytona 500s before this had 3 of the worst drivers, like, to ever get behind the wheel of a cup car take the win. Michael McDowell's redeemed himself. You know, Cindric is proving to be a complete fraud. And speaking of frauds, 2-time Busch Series champion Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who went on to do absolutely nothing in the Cup Series except win a couple plate races in 2017. And now he's a Daytona 500 winner too. Wow, great, exciting. Oh, and it was a Hendrick car winning. It was William Byron winning, which means that actually it was Jeff Gordon winning. They interviewed Jeff Gordon twice after the race. Who cares? Who cares? Man has been retired for almost a decade. Leave the past in the fucking past, man. Leave the memories alone. I'm so sick of Jeff Gordon. And you want to know what the funniest part about this is? The Xfinity race with one leech that was out before lap 10 finished under green. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Now, honestly, the Xfinity race should not have finished under green. The fact that it did is kind of an anomaly, because the wreck happened. That was a wreck on the final lap of the Xfinity race in the exact same spot that there was a wreck in the truck race. Now, granted, there wasn't a flip this time, but they still wrecked. President said, over the course of the weekend, said that race should have finished under yellow, but it didn't. And it didn't change the outcome, which is the funniest part. It didn't change the outcome at all. But it did finish under yellow, so I guess one race finished under green this week. And it actually, I looked this up, the 2024 February Xfinity race at Daytona has the largest margin of victory in the history of the Xfinity Series at Daytona. That's funny right there. I'm going to be honest, that's funny right there. And it makes sense that Austin Hill would win that, because considering he owns this track. Man was in a wreck. Man was in a wreck in this race, and he still managed to get it. Austin Hill supremacy, honestly. I'm going to be 100% honest. Austin Hill supremacy. So yeah, if you thought that was fun, everyone have fun at Daytona? You ready to do more of the same next week? Yeah, they're going to bitch-ass Atlanta, which is now a fucking super speedway. Why is it a super speedway? Who asked for this? Who? Genuinely, who on this goddamn planet asked for that? Well, that's what we got, though. It's what we're fucking stuck with, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Natalie Decker. If you'll recall, the 3rd worst driver in NASCAR today in 2019. Present day 2019. Natalie Decker. One of the most decorated failures in the history of NASCAR. She led a bunch of laps at Daytona. She led a bunch of laps at Daytona and was not involved in a wreck. I mean, what the fuck, dude? Natalie Decker is so bad. Like, she is the worst. Like, genuinely. Tony Breidinger has shown more promise in her couple of truck starts with fucking, Tricon Garage. David Gilliland Racing, that's what it's called. Tony Breidinger, who is literally a Instagram model primarily, and a stock car driver secondarily. She has shown more promise than Natalie Decker ever has, and that's incredibly sad. But let me tell you this. Natalie Decker has a Truck Series top 5. Oh, my heart. Oh my heart. And today, no, yesterday, the race ended like 5 minutes before it became Tuesday on the East Coast. So technically it was not today, it was yesterday. Yesterday, she led 7 laps on her way to finishing 18th at Daytona. Oh! Remember when Hailie Deegan was showing promise? But Hailie Deegan has 2 career laps led in 2 full-time Truck Series seasons. And now Natalie Decker has more laps led in 1 race in the Xfinity Series than Deegan has her entire Truck Series career. Hailie Deegan had promise. I still think that Hailie Deegan can recover. I still think that we can pull a good race car driver out of Hailie Deegan. Oh, but what are we gonna do, guys? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Natalie Decker is so bad. And yet she has so much more success than any other female driver in NASCAR history. It doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. None of this makes sense. I feel like I'm in some kind of bizarro reality, dude. I can't. And that brings me to my second point that I was going to make, is that Hailie Deegan is being thrown into the Xfinity Series after proving absolutely no worth in the Truck Series. However, you want to know who else is being thrown into the Xfinity Series without being shown any worth as a driver? Frankie Muniz. Hey, remember back in 2019 when a bunch of people on Twitter were like, oh, they're trying to make the Cup cars easy to drive so that there can be celebrity drivers like Kim Kardashian and Justin Bieber. And Dave Moody was probably like, well, there's no way that could ever happen. There are many checks and balances along the way before you get to the Cup Series. Motherfucker, Frankie Muniz has 1 ARCA top 5 and didn't even come close to the ARCA championship last year. Didn't come close to winning anything. And the man is 1 step, 1 heartbeat away from the Cup Series. He is in Xfinity. This is the division where names are made here. Names are made to move up into the Cup Series. Muniz is here. I don't care if he's in a Joey Gase car. He's here. Come on, guys. What are we doing? It doesn't make any sense. It's just so stupid. And the thing is that they could not stop talking about Frankie Muniz during the ARCA broadcast last year. I think they brought him up once during the entire Xfinity race yesterday. I don't know, man. I think the Muniz excitement train is kind of run its course. But he's still here. We'll see if he can actually qualify into races. What I was going to say is that who's going to have a tougher learning curve going into the 2024 Xfinity Series season? Frankie Muniz or Hailie Deegan? Like, who's going to have the biggest struggle? I was kind of hoping that Muniz would be full-time so that we'd be able to watch this struggle together. But Deegan didn't make it 7 laps into the Xfinity race before ARCA breaking directly into a stupid wreck. Did you see Sam Mayer's destroyed car? Did he ever get out of the infield care center? I didn't see an interview with him. Wonder if he's okay. I know I'm not after watching these races. Anyway, racing season's back in full swing. There's not a whole lot of news as of right now. There were no, technical inspection failures, so all the winners stand. There's all 3 series racing in Atlanta next week. Oh boy, more plate racing. Oh man. No one's sick of that. Let's see if one race, we are waiting on the first race this season to finish without a wreck on the last lap. And we're heading to Atlanta on another plate track. When will the first finish under green? Xfinity doesn't count. When will the first race that doesn't have a wreck on the last lap happen. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. This should be, honestly, there should be a bet line on this. Because I'm thinking it ain't gonna be until after Atlanta. Thank y'all so much for watching. This has been good news. This has been Kamikaze Games. There wasn't a whole lot of news to discuss. Maybe there will be next time. I don't know, man. I'm tired. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in whatever comes next. Bye!
Come on! Die! What is it gonna take? Someone die! Not me!
And then that. Then just that. Stupid. This is exactly what a tournament would be like. I was about to get very mad. Never mind, I still get to be very mad.
Rubbing, grinding, banging, cuddling, fucking.
That's a good one.